What's up, everyone? Welcome to this day in Philly Sports History for April 27th, 2025. I'm your host, Jim Montgomery. Welcome to a Sunday edition of the podcast. Easy like Sunday morning. The warm weather seems to be out. It's still going to be nice today, but not quite as nice as it's been the past few days. But that's all right. And Howie Roseman looks like he did it again. Set himself up for future draft picks or draft with trading and picks for next year. But I think the players that they got yesterday, I was trying to keep track, do the research on them as they were getting picked while I was watching the Phillies game and whatnot. But I think the key, and as it's been for the past few years with Howie, is versatility. They got some guys, especially on defense, that are fast and have sort of that same makeup, very much like Vic Fangio type guys. So I guess they're allowing him to, or giving him the pieces he needs. But I like the D tackle from Nebraska. I think the corner, Mac McWilliams, is going to be a good depth piece. I don't necessarily see him as a starter. A couple linemen that are versatile, that should thrive under Jeff Stoutland. I think Miles Hinton, the dude from Michigan, it might be one of the tackles of the future. Obviously, Lane teases retiring every couple years, and I think this dude could step in. But he's also a versatile guy. I watched him at Michigan, and I think that was what Howie was looking for. Drafted a quarterback who could fill the, depending on what they want to do with Tanner McKee, gives them versatility now for teams that need a quarterback, especially as the OTAs and training camp and things like that start getting on. But overall, I give Howie a good grade for this draft. Obviously, not all the guys they took yesterday are going to play, and that's just the way the NFL draft is. But I like what he did, and I think sort of kept with the plan the whole way. Everybody, like, it's from first pick to the last pick they picked, everybody has some type of versatility where they can do multiple things, and I think that's going to bode well. And I mean, a lot of these picks are good value picks. Just looking at some of the reactions from some of the pundits and the experts, they said, wow, Howie, get really with an eye for talent. So we'll see how this turns out. Obviously, it's a crapshoot, but I think I like what he did on day two. Combine that with what he did on the first 2 days, and I would say overall this is a good draft for Howie. Obviously, he's going to fill it out with some undrafted free agents here in the next few days. But I'm satisfied with this draft. I really do. I think they're set up. I do think and would like to see them with maybe another edge rusher or two. I don't know if that comes in a trade market or what. But one glaring thing that did not happen that everybody had speculated for a few weeks now, Dallas Goedert is still on this team. They did not draft a tight end, so really you're running it back with Goedert and Calcaterra right now. But that's my question of the day. Will Dallas Goedert be back, or does Howie have more moves up his sleeve? 267-495-8531. That'll get you into the Back to the Future voice and text line. I don't know. I could see him being back either on this 1 year prove it deal. Maybe they get something done. I don't think that, depending on how much money he's asking for, I don't think he's going to get a big, huge contract. But I can kind of see him being back. I think Howie's going to continue to look for a trade partner. But I think without having somebody else, unless they believe that Calcaterra, and I've talked about this before, how the Eagles always seem to have the next tight end on the roster. Either they think Calcaterra is the guy, or they're running it back with Dallas Goedert and hoping that on a prove-it-year deal, he's going to do it. But what do you think? Will Goedert be back? 267-495-8531. Get that. Anything else Philly sports related off your chest, because we got a lot to talk about. And man, Phillies bounce back in a big way. Much needed win, 10-4. Jesus Luzardo came in and was the stopper. He would have had a great outing if Trey Turner had not made the error that led to two, I think, of the Cubs runs. But overall, good performance. Everybody in the offense hit, with the exception of Rojas, but he did have a sac fly RBI, so everyone contributed. They pounded out 12 hits. Kepler with a home run in the wind out there in Chicago. And I feel like that's what this team is capable of. And yeah, they hit the home run with Kepler, and they haven't hit many home runs this year. But I always go back to Charlie Manuel, who would say it's hitting season. Once the weather starts getting warmer, the ball flies. And a lot of times, home runs are like sacks in football. They come in bunches. So if you can consistently get hits like they did yesterday, and that's a big if, don't get me wrong, I think they'll be okay. But Jesus Luzardo, I do think they need to improve the defense because he should have been able to go 8 innings yesterday. But because he had to throw the extra pitches in the 1 inning, it went down. But hard to complain. Bullpen pitched well. So they go to win the series tonight on ESPN, Sunday Night Baseball. Aaron Nola on the mound for the Phillies. But I'm satisfied with that. Much needed. Good, solid team win. And then Ranger Suarez is making a start today up in Lehigh Valley. He could be joining the team later this week. Maybe we weathered a little bit of a little slump and they're going to break out of it and be good. I'll be cautiously optimistic with that. But it does lead to today's recap of yesterday's question of the day. I asked you, what's the most frustrating? Everybody was split. Right down the middle. 40% said hitting. 40% said both. A lot of people talked about it not seeming as though the team is having fun. Harv, my boy Harv, they're not staying loose and sexy, as Brandon Marsh would say. But they did get the win. Thank you, as always, for participating in the question of the day. Today, it's all about Dallas Goedert. Will he be back? Let me know. Your Philadelphia Union with a big win yesterday, 3-0 over DC United. Jacob Glesnes, Danley Jean-Jacques, and Bruno Damiani all scored for the Union. I believe this is their second straight shutout now. They're back up into the second place in the East in the MLS standings. So solid win for the Union. All right, let's do some quick housekeeping. Be sure to follow me on social media, Jimbo_Mont on Twitter and TikTok, on Instagram at PhillyJimbo. Subscribe to the YouTube channel and continue to spread the word as we grow this thing. Just a reminder, highlights are on my social media, including Facebook and LinkedIn. And if you haven't done so already, now that the NFL draft is over on Friday, we did spend Fridays with AI like we always did, and we went and asked AI to create an alternate reality where the Eagles actually took Justin Jefferson instead of Jalen Reagor and kind of played out the past 5 years or so with that. So be sure to go check that out wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. But it's not what you think it would be. All right, time for our tankathon. Ran 2 tankathon simulations this morning, one for the Flyers, one for the Sixers. Flyers, for the second straight day, move up to the number 2 pick. Sixers, they dropped to 7 and lost the pick. That's like the worst case scenario. At least if they're going to drop down because 3 teams jump over them, I'll be like, okay, just a statistical anomaly. But to drop down 1 and lose that spot, or 2, I guess, that's going to sting. But starting tomorrow, I'll start looking at some of the way the numbers are looking and the trends and things like that. But knock on wood, it does seem like both teams are going to be in good positions. Be sure to check out my boys over at the Clashing Conferences podcast. Great things happening on their sports fan network. Go to theclashingconferences.com for details on what they have to offer, how you can get involved, and then, of course, check out their podcast wherever you get your podcasts as well as on YouTube. Very entertaining, easy watch, fun watch, so go support them and go check them out. Do some Sunday shopping today. Lots of First Communions going on in the area, so why not go to Philly Goat, get that, whoever's getting communion today, get them a gift, get shoes, shirts, hats, rocks. Well, I don't know if anybody who's getting communion would need rocks glasses, but hey, you never know. But rocks glasses, check out the artwork from Jordan Spector. It makes a great piece for a kid's bedroom as well. Be sure to use that promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. That's phillygoat.com. Promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off your order. and get a communion present. Why not? Buy yourself a communion present if you want. Doesn't matter. But Philly Goat, use the promo code Jim Montgomery to take 10% off of your order. All right, today we are going to go back to 2003. And on this day in 2003, the Phillies and Giants played a Sunday afternoon game at the Vet. And if you were at this game, you did not see a whole bunch of action. However, you did see history get made. Phillies beat the Giants 1-0. Kevin Millwood pitched a no-hitter, the 9th in Phillies team history. He struck out 10, walked 3, and then Ricky Ledee provided the only offense that he would need it with a first-inning home run. So if you went for this game thinking it's going to be a high-scoring Sunday affair, no, it did not happen, but you did get to see history made as Kevin Millwood pitched the 9th no-hitter in Phillies history. The second one ever. It was the final year at the Vet, but the second one ever at the Vet. The Phillies, to their credit, didn't really do much offensively other than Ledee's home run, managing only 4 hits. But Kevin Millwood came in. He was a trade. They traded with the Braves. Came in with a lot of fanfare. He was sort of like the fourth Beatle or the fifth Beatle on the Braves rotation. They were trying to cut costs, so they traded him. But for the most part, I would say his time in Philly, minus this no-hitter, was sort of a bust. Went 14-12 with a 4.34 ERA, so it's tough to call him a bust because that's solid. But with the fanfare and what everyone had expected from him coming in, certainly did not. And then, of course, in typical Philly fashion, after he left the following year, he led the American League in ERA. But Kevin was not done with no-hitters. He was a part of a combined no-hitter in 2012 while playing for the Mariners. But on this day in 2003, Kevin Millwood, the 9th no-hitter in Phillies team history, the second one ever at the Vet, as they beat the Giants 1-0 thanks to a Ricky Ledee first-inning home run. Lots of good defense played in this game, too, to kind of help the cause out. All right, the draft is over, but we will finish out strong with our draft spotlight. Best Eagles draft picks by each round. And today we're going to look at the 4th round and really spotlight 3 guys that I think really are some of the greatest players as we've been seeing in Eagles history, but also drafted in the 4th round. In 1974, Frank LeMaster, who was a member of that 1980 Super Bowl team. Byron Evans, my guy, the middle linebacker for the Eagles, was drafted in the 4th round in 1987 out of Arizona. He was on that 1991 team. And again, sort of the forgotten guy of that team. He was sort of one of the leaders on the field, but everybody else got a lot of the accolades. So Byron Evans, one of my all-time favorites. Brandon Whiting was a 4th-round pick in 1998. He was instrumental in the Terrell Owens trade that brought T.O. to Philly. Carell Buckholder, part of the 3-headed running back by committee that the Eagles had, was a 4th-round pick in 2001. Longtime tackle Todd Harriman was 4th round in 2005. A year later, they took my boy Jason Avant out of Michigan in 2006. And then a pair of Super Bowl 59 champions were drafted in the 4th round. Avonte Maddox in 2018, Keely Ringo in 2023. But we're going to spotlight 3 guys today. Excuse me. And I'll do it like I've been doing in order of when they were drafted. And first, we're going to look at Sonny Jurgensen. Sonny was drafted in the 4th round in 1957 out of Duke. He was on that 1960 champion team. He was a 4-time All-Pro, 5-time Pro Bowler, led the league in yards 5 times, touchdown passes twice. He was on the 1960s All-Decade team. He is in the Eagles Hall of Fame, but he's also in the Washington Ring of Fame. His number 9 is retired by there. I included him because he is in the Eagles Hall of Fame, was a backup on that 1960 championship team, but Sonny definitely had a lot more success after leaving Philly. But he is an Eagles Hall of Famer and a champion drafted in the 4th round. And then going back to that 1991 team again. William Thomas, 1991 out of Texas A&M. He was second-team All-Pro in 95. He was a two-time Pro Bowler. He's number 12 on the Eagles' all-time sack list. Kind of like an underrated sort of guy. I talk about those mid-90s teams all the time where they were almost, I felt like they were second tier. Had a lot of good players, including William Thomas, though. But he was drafted in the 4th round in 1991. And this guy's no longer here, but he is also a Super Bowl 59 champion. And might be better than, I think, as I was kind of looking at numbers and what he was able to do, might be better than what we kind of gave him credit for. And that is Josh Sweat, 4th round draft pick in 2018 out of Florida State. I think you can make a strong case that he could have and maybe should have been Super Bowl MVP with 2.5 sacks. Made a Pro Bowl in 2021. He's number 8 all-time, which I didn't realize he was that high. Number 8 all-time on the Eagles' all-time sack list. And really came in on a shorter deal last year. Certainly proved it. Stepped up, especially in the Super Bowl, the brightest lights, biggest stage. 2.5 sacks. Could have, like I said, made a strong case for him to be the MVP. But Josh Sweat, 4th rounder in 2018. So there you have it. There's the 4th round for the Eagles. A lot of solid starters. So bodes well for some of the guys they took yesterday that, hey, you can come in and have a productive Eagles career. On this day in 2003, Kevin Millwood pitched a no-hitter, beating the Giants 1-0. Ricky Ledee hit a first-inning home run, and that was the only offense the fans saw that day at the Vet. The final year at the Vet to boot. But Kevin Millwood, no-hitter on this day in 2003. We'll have more on the Phillies tomorrow. I'll have a closer look at some of the Eagles draft and see if there's any notable folks that they signed as undrafted free agents. Of course, we'll run our tankathons again. But let me know, is Dallas Goedert coming back next year? What are your thoughts on that? What is the Eagles' next move at tight end? Who knows? All right, congrats to everybody out there who is getting communion. My kids are going later this morning. If you went yesterday, today, congratulations to everyone out there. Go to Philly Goat. Buy them some Philly Goat gear. Do it. And use the promo code Jim Montgomery. This has been This Day in Philly Sports History for April 27th, 2025. My name's Jim Montgomery. Go have yourselves a Sunday. And until next time, I'll see you when I see you.